All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to decode the secret language that every single pilot has to master before their wheels even think about leaving the ground.
Now, at first glance, yeah, this totally looks like a cat just walked across a keyboard. But believe it or not, this one line of text is a language, a really vital weather report. For any pilot, being fluent in this isn't just a nice-to-have. It is the absolute key to a safe flight.
So you ready to crack the code? Let's break this thing down piece by piece so you can read the weather just like a seasoned pro.
Okay, first up, the METAR. This is all about what's happening right now.
The easiest way to think of a METAR is like a perfect weather photograph. It's an aviation routine weather report, a snapshot that gets taken every single hour. It tells you exactly what you'd see if you were looking out the cockpit window at that very moment. Let's decode a fresh one here. We start with KJFK. Yep, that's the airport, JFK. Right after that, you get the date and time. This report is from the second day of the month at 21:47 Zulu, which is the universal time standard all pilots use, so there's absolutely no confusion.
Next up is the wind, and this is absolutely critical stuff. You need this to pick the right runway because planes always take off and land into the wind. So the first three digits 030 tell us the wind is coming from 030 degrees. The next part shows a steady speed of 12 knots with gusts, that's the G, kicking things up to 18 knots.
So the next question is, can you even see the end of the runway? This part tells us, visibility is 6 statute miles. And that BR, that's the code for mist. Now, if you saw FG here, that would mean fog, which is a whole different beast, a much bigger problem that could literally shut down the airport.
Now, let's look up. BKN means a broken cloud layer, so it's covering most of the sky, but how high is it? Well, here's the little magic trick. You just add 2 zeros to that number. So 012 means the cloud base is sitting at just 1,200 feet. That's pretty low, and it's what determines if you can fly visually or if you need to be on an instrument flight plan.
Okay, here we've got the temperature, 13 degrees Celsius, and the dew point at 7. It's always in Celsius in aviation. And here's a huge tip for any pilot. The closer these two numbers get, the stickier the air is. The second they match, you get fog. This gap tells a pilot exactly how close they are to those kinds of conditions.
And finally, we have the altimeter setting. The A stands for altimeter, and the number is 29.89 inches of mercury. Every single pilot in the area has to set their altimeter to this exact number. It's a non-negotiable safety check to make sure every plane is flying at the correct altitude relative to each other.
So that's the METAR, the now. But what about your flight in, say, 3 hours? For that, you need the forecast. So let's move on to the TAF and see how this all builds. And this is the TAF, the Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. It predicts the weather within a 5-mile bubble around the airport for the next 24 hours. So if the METAR is for the now, the TAF is for the next. This is, without a doubt, your main tool for flight planning.
You know, here's probably the best way to think about it. If the METAR is a photo of the weather right this second, the TAF is the movie trailer for the next 24 hours. One tells you what is happening, the other tells you what's expected to happen.
TAFs also give us something really useful, probabilities. Prob 40 tells us there's a 40% chance of the weather that follows, in this case light rain, which is coded as -R, happening between 1800 and 2100 Zulu. This is how you really start to assess the risk of a flight.
So this is the decision a pilot is looking at, a 40% chance of rain. Is that an acceptable risk for your flight? See, the TAF doesn't make the call for you, but it gives you the crucial data to make a smart one before you even head out to the airport. Okay, so you've checked the METAR, you've checked the TAF, now you're in the cockpit, engines running. But hold on, there is one more critical piece of information you need before you can even think about talking to ground control. Meet the ATIS, or Automated Terminal Information Service. It's a continuous, pre-recorded broadcast of all the essential airport info. Honestly, just think of it as the airport's own little radio station. It's designed to keep the main frequencies clear and make sure everyone's got the same game plan.
The ATIS gives you the latest weather, sure, but it also packs in crucial operational details. Things like which runways are active, any taxiways that are closed, or even hazards like bird activity in the area. Oh, and here's a key difference you got to remember. ATIS wind is reported in magnetic north, not true north like the METAR.
So, when do you actually tune in? Well, on departure, you listen before you make that first call to ground control because, trust me, they're going to expect you to have it. On arrival, you listen before you enter the airport's airspace so you know which runway to start planning for. And look, these aren't suggestions. They are mandatory steps to keep you and the controllers perfectly in sync.
So you've got the METAR, you've got the TAF, and now you've got the ATIS. Let's see how all this information comes together to make a clear, professional radio call to air traffic control.
Here it is. This is the key that ties it all together. Each new ATIS broadcast gets a phonetic letter: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on. When you make your radio call, you have to tell them which letter you have. That one word instantly lets the controller know you're working with the most up-to-date airport information.
And it all comes together in a beautiful call, just like this. You say who you're calling, who you are, where you are, and the magic words, with information Charlie. In that one short sentence, the controller knows everything. You're aware of the winds, the active runways, and all the current conditions. It's efficient, it's professional, and most importantly, it's safe.
And just like that, you've learned the language of aviation weather, how to see the present, predict the future, and get the latest intel right from the source. So the only real question left is, where will your next flight plan take you? Fly safe, and we'll see you next week.